Really excited to welcome into the show a good friend of mine, longtime friend, Jahan Dotson from the Philadelphia Eagles, by way of Penn State. Jahan, for you, what does it mean to be a Nittany Lion? When I ask you that, now that you're a few years removed, what does it mean?
Oh, it's everything, man. I'm a proud alum. I rep the Nittany Lions everywhere I go. You know, I always tell people, that was the best 4 years of my life.
It was.
Met some of the coolest people in my life. So many life-changing moments. It was truly an experience.
What's the difference between a whiteout game compared to like an Eagles playoff game at home at the Link? How would you compare the two?
Ah, that's tough.
Two crazy fan bases.
Yeah, two insane fan bases. The whiteout is just it tops everything I've ever been a part of. Just from the fans, the Beaver Stadium, like packing it out, 110,000. It's crazy. It's such an amazing experience. And we had some really good battles in there.
So nothing beats a whiteout at Beaver Stadium. As great as an NFL playoff game with the Link is, you can't beat that.
No, no chance. No chance. No chance. I think the whiteout trumps every every sporting event there is.
In terms of your 2 years in Philadelphia, Han, like what do you enjoy the most?
It was fun, truly. My 2 years in Philly, a lot of learning experiences. Coming over from Washington, being kind of a featured guy and getting a lot of targets and everything, and then taking a role, kind of a step back in my role in Philly, just understanding my role and for a championship team and what I needed to do. That's just what I had to do. That's truly what it came down to. But like every day I had to go out there every game day, and I had to remember who I was. Like I'm still that guy. I can make plays. I'm capable, and when the ball came my way, that's what I did. And I came up big in some moments for us throughout the playoffs last year, popping the Super Bowl off. So that was pretty much my main focus. Coming into each and every game day. When my opportunity arises, no matter if it's one or three, like make something happen and make people remember you. And I feel like I did that.
Han, what have you learned about yourself as a person and a football player in Washington, being traded, that the NFL really is a business at the end of the day, and then obviously in Philadelphia, again, more as a football player and as a person?
It was really like you can't take the game for granted. Every time you step on the field, like you got to make it happen. And that just goes to my role again. Like I may not get a lot of opportunities, but when I get an opportunity, I got to make it happen. So I took that approach into every practice, every game, whatever it was. I'm gonna make the most of this rep, and that's just what I did, and that was how my time in Philly really, in a nutshell, that's how it was.
What did you learn from AJ and from Smitty? What did you learn from them that, regardless of where you end up next, that you'll take with you from a friendship standpoint, from a football standpoint?
Those two guys, you know, th- those are my brothers now. We truly became so much closer off the field, than on the field. Like those guys are family to me now. Like we go to each other's kids' birthdays and different stuff like that. Like that's I feel like that's what this sport is about. Creating those friendships and those bonds. But on the field, like, and I said this when I got traded, like take something out of this situation, right? So I wanted to learn. And what two better people to learn it from than two of the best receivers in the league? AJ, the way he prepares every day at practice, he comes out to practice and he treats it like a game. And, I sat back and I really learned that from him. And as far as Smitty, his preparation, like every first down, second down, third down during the game, no matter if it's third quarter, first quarter, he knows what the defense is doing to us. So like different stuff like that. Like I took that from them and note taking and different stuff like that will help my game further in my career to make me the best player possible.
How did you respond from being a top dog at Penn State, great start to your career in Washington, and then learning in Philly that your role was going to be different? Like, how did you respond, and What will you take from that experience?
That's a tough experience. That was really, it wasn't easy to deal with. Going from being the one in college, getting 10, 15 targets a game, making things happen to, okay, now you get drafted first round, but you're still number two. As I took that step, I was still making things happen, um, putting up numbers, had a couple 100-yard games, and everything felt like it was going smoothly. Then you kind of take it back another back seat to your three now, and in some cases you're four or five in the past game. And that really it helped me, build that callus, I would say, as far as, you're not gonna get a lot of touches. So what are you gonna do with them? And as I've shown, I'm gonna make things happen. When the ball comes my way, it's mine. That's just my motto. That's my mentality, and that's what I've showed off the past 4 years. Honestly, as I've been in the league, I'm gonna make plays for our team whenever we need them, and I could be that guy to depend on.
How do you approach free agency in terms of what it is that's best for Jahan, the football player, Jahan, the person, knowing that a certain amount of targets is going to make you happier? I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. Living in a certain city, how do you approach all of that for the first time?
That's a tough situation because this is my first time doing it, and I've been having talks with Saquon, um, my agent, who also represents Saquon, but just talking throughout the process and what it looks like, and it's at the end of the day, you gotta go somewhere where you're wanted, where you feel valued, where you know you feel home, and that's truly what this decision is going to come down to. I truly want to say I can't wait to put my name on the map again, because I know the capability I have as a receiver,
Yes.
and as a player. So I can't wait for that opportunity, and when that opportunity comes, I'm gonna make the most of it. Right now,
I know you will.
what it looks like for me, I'm doing everything possible to make sure I'm ready for that moment. Whenever it strikes, I'm gonna hit it head on, and we're gonna get this thing going.
Walk me through a day for you right now from a training standpoint.
Right now, we're just getting back into things. Like I'm about a week or two into things, and I'm getting in the weight room, weight training, get some conditioning in, massages after my conditioning, and then for me, it's just going over tape, seeing what places will fit me, um, you know, just kind of picking the not really talking to anyone, picking the brains of offenses, seeing what offenses like to do, finding out what spot will be best for me, and you know, just looking at different things like that, and then obviously talking with my agent, talking with my close people in mind, but just trying to find a home.
I've known you for a while, so I'm a little biased, but you've always been struck me. You're very mature, ahead of your years. What do you think that Jahan Dotson, like if I ask you from a non-football standpoint, how would you describe your personality and your persona just day to day, like for fans that don't know?
I'm a quiet, laid back guy. Um, but when it's time to turn it on, I'm gonna turn it on.
Let's go.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And that's just me. That's how I grew up. That's always who I've been. Um, just a guy who goes about his business and makes things happen.
How much do you love football? 4 years in.
You have no idea. Like this is everything I've ever wanted to do ever since a little kid. Like and it's funny. I talked to my parents and everything, like, and they're like, when you were growing up, like, we didn't buy you toys, like, we didn't get you anything like that. Like, you always just wanted a football. Like, like for me, it's like I was destined to do this. Like, this is everything that I ever wanted. Like, I'm living out my dream. So like I put my all into this game. Like I want to get everything out of it because I feel like I owe that to myself. And it's so cool that I'm being able to live out my dream and take care of my family and everything. But like this is all I ever wanted to do. Like I love this game more than life. Like this is my life. Football has been my life forever, and I love it.
How old were you when you thought I can play in the NFL? This is like a realistic dream.
I've always wanted to play in the NFL. That was always a dream of mine. But I would say like middle school.
Wow.
I knew I was different. Like it was just everything was so easy to me.
Yeah.
Um, and I was making plays. I was going around the country traveling, making plays. Still, like I knew I was different from the rest. And I've took that approach ever since then. Like I'm gonna make it happen, and I'm able to live out my dream now, and I'm gonna keep going.
Some of the battles that you've had, I'm curious, in practice with Cooper, with Quinion, Slay. What has that done for you as a football player?
It's the best. That's the great thing about playing for a great organization is practice is harder than the games. You're playing against all pros in practice. You're playing against future Hall of Famers and Darius Slay. Like that's what it's all about, and you get to see your skill set. Like, and that was so fun about camp this past year when either AJ or Smitty was down or for whatever reason. Like I'm stepping into that role and I'm getting to test my skill set against Coop, against Quinion, and I'm winning reps. Like, and it's just showing them like, okay, yeah, I'm here too. Like, and it's just cool having those battles. Yeah, it was fun. It truly was.
How good can Coop and Quinion be?
Oh my gosh, the sky's the limit for those two, especially with Coop playing the nickel position. Like he fits that role like no other nickel in the league. Like I don't know another nickel in the league who can play that role as good as him, where he's fast enough to cover your fastest receiver. He has the skills to play inside, outside, and he's physical enough to stack the box. Like he's an extra run defender. He's almost like another linebacker you have out there. So, he fits that role perfectly. And then Quinion just shuts down a side of the field. Like
Yeah, he's elite.
he's elite.
Yeah.
And I truly don't think he gets the respect he deserves. I think he's up there in that top two, top three conversation with the best of them. And he's making his case for it.
Is that because maybe he didn't go to I mean, he went to Toledo, didn't go to a big school, but
Right.
you would think that someone at that level with the Eagles would get, but he doesn't get mentioned the way he probably should. Why do you think that
Yeah.
is?
I think it has something to do with, he came from a smaller school, he's still young. But he deserves his flowers. Like he comes out every single Sunday and he balls out. And he truly shuts down one side of the field. So, a lot of people tried him this year and we're watching it like it's not gonna work. And it was really cool to just sit back on the sideline and just watch him go to work.
One of the things that I was struck talking to some guys around the team was that, and maybe you could illuminate a little bit more, elaborate, is was this version of Jalen the best leadership you had seen from him?
I would say so. In my 2 years being here, as opposed to last year to this year, he was way more vocal.
Yeah.
Um, and he really called out things that he wanted
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted to see out of us. We were challenging ourselves, the coaches were challenging us, and he was relaying those messages to us when we were tired in practice or tired in the fourth quarter. He was relaying those messages to us, and he was making sure that everything was a tight ship and run. And he truly is. I feel like one of the best leaders I've ever been around. He commands the attention of the huddle. He commands the attention of the room. And that's the type of guy you want running your offense.
And what about Coach Sirianni? What about Nick? I mean, how much fun is it to play for him?
It's so much fun just because he has so much swag when it comes to
Yes.
the head coach. Like
Right.
he has the ultimate faith in his guys. He doesn't care who we're stacked up against. It could be the 85 Bears.
85
Like,
Bears, Legion of Boom,
he
Seahawks.
yeah,
He doesn't
he
care.
doesn't care.
No.
He doesn't care. If it's 4th and 5 with the game on the line, just know we're going for it and we're gonna get it. Like he has that much confidence in your team and his team, and you love that in your coach. He instills that in you. Like even when week 18 game doesn't matter and AJ and Smitty are sitting out and I'm the one now. He's like, you're gonna go for 100 today, and we're gonna get a W. Like he instills that confidence in you, and it's really cool to have like a coach like that because not everyone's like that. So it is really awesome.
Favorite non-football, off day activity. What do you like to do to get away from it?
Either golf or video games.
Okay, so how's your golf game? Are we talking like you're like a legit? You can go get me a par. Are you like a 12, a 10, an 18?
I'm trash. I'm
Okay.
trash. I'm not gonna lie, I'm trash. But like, I'll give you a couple pars, maybe a birdie here and there.
Okay.
But
Okay.
like, I'm not that. I'm gonna get lessons.
Yeah, because
So like,
golf is one of those you got to put the time in.
yeah, you have to. You
It's
absolutely
the
have to.
margin is so small for error
Yeah,
that
it's so crazy. I've been seeing a lot of debates on what is the hardest sport to play, and obviously baseball. Hitting the baseball is
baseball's tough.
probably
Baseball's tough.
it's super tough. Like getting 100 at your head is, I don't know, that's
Football,
crazy. Football is tough in its own way, like the physical aspect of football, but being consistent in golf is probably the hardest thing in sports, just
yeah,
because of the margin of error.
yeah. Every course is different. All the
Exactly.
conditions change.
Conditions, yeah, 100%.
Is there anything you can take from golf from a mental standpoint that you could then translate to the football field?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's, having that next play mentality. In golf, you hit a bad shot and you can't let it mess up your entire hole. Like you can hit it
Yeah.
into the
OB.
sand.
Yeah.
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 Or hit it out of bounds, and your next shot you put it on the green just because you have that short-term
Yeah.
memory. Like, and it's the same in football. You drop a pass, and then you're gonna shut down because the next time the quarterback comes to you, you're gonna drop it again, or you're gonna go make a play for your team and say, "I want the ball." And I feel like that's something that you got to have. And I feel like that's something that I definitely have. And I feel like it just goes back to your mentality and your resilience.
Do you think you were born with that, or did you develop that?
I think I was born with that. I've always been like that, where things I don't really let things affect me, really, and I feel like I show that in my game. For me, I keep going back to this not getting a lot of opportunities, but it's the same thing. First, second down, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, you don't get any opportunities. Are you gonna keep dwelling on that? Like, are you gonna keep thinking about that? Because when that ball does come to you, are you gonna make a play? And I feel like I'm always available to make a play for my team, and that's what I'm gonna do.
I couldn't agree more. I love catching up with you. It's been a minute. We did this on camera. Been rooting for you for a long time and just excited to see what's next. I know you're going to make the most of whatever opportunity comes. I know you're going to capitalize. Like you said, that's who you are. And there's a lot of great
Yeah,
football and Jahan Dotson left. A lot. And I know you're ready to prove it.
absolutely, absolutely.
I appreciate you, brother. And we'll talk real soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.